It's a household name, even outside of global financial circles, and it manages more money than the GDP of most nations, $10 trillion. We've seen them at the center of financial controversies, but we've never seen a perp walk. Is BlackRock immune? I've seen it all. For nearly 25 years, I worked at the DOJ, where I investigated some of the largest antitrust cases in the country. Now in retirement, I'm working for you. Welcome to the Antitrust Insider. From the 2008 bailouts to the ESG debate, BlackRock has been a subject of lots of headlines and lots of hearings, but no criminal charges have ever stuck. This isn't about conspiracy. It's about a sophisticated legal framework constructed piece by piece over decades, designed not to hide guilt, but to make the very concept of guilt almost legally unprovable. Segment 1, the shield of an asset manager. To understand BlackRock's immunity, you first have to understand what it isn't. BlackRock is not a bank in a traditional sense. It doesn't take your deposits and make risky bets with them like the institutions that fell in 2008. BlackRock's primary identity is that of a fiduciary asset manager. This identity is the first and most powerful part of its protective legal framework. As a fiduciary, BlackRock's legal duty is not to itself, but to its clients, pension funds, universities, and the millions of people whose money it manages. This creates a powerful legal deflection. When BlackRock makes a decision, it can argue that it was not for its own profit, but in the best interest of its clients. Then, there's the sheer size of BlackRock. In the eyes of some prosecutors, the feeling is that it's too big to prosecute. A criminal case against BlackRock wouldn't be like prosecuting a company like Enron. Enron's collapse was catastrophic, but it was isolated. A criminal prosecution against BlackRock could potentially trigger a collapse of the global financial system. They are the largest shareholder in nearly every major public company on Earth. Of course, when most people think of BlackRock, they think of its co-founder and CEO, Larry Fink. He's often called the most powerful man in finance, but ironically, his prominence actually underscores BlackRock's immunity. Even if Fink personally testifies before Congress or makes public statements on markets, prosecutions require proof of direct criminal intent. At a firm this vast and committee-driven, pinning legal culpability on one individual, even the CEO, would be nearly impossible. The next protection is its global presence and legal complexity. BlackRock's operations span the globe, with numerous subsidiaries and legal entities across dozens of jurisdictions. Where does the crime occur? In which country? Which set of laws apply? Gathering evidence across international borders is a monumental task, and by the time a case is built, the legal and political landscape may have shifted entirely. For BlackRock, this jurisdictional maze is a built-in delay tactic, making the path to prosecution long, expensive, and filled with diplomatic issues. Segment 2, Precedent, Proof, and Passivity. In 2010, the Supreme Court handed down a pivotal case, Morrison versus National Australia Bank. The decision sharply limited how far U.S. securities laws can reach beyond American borders. In simple terms, U.S. courts can only handle fraud tied to securities traded here in the United States. For a global player like BlackRock, this ruling is a major shield. If a questionable deal happens in its European or Asian funds, it's often out of reach for American prosecutors. That single precedent quietly closed the door on a whole category of potential cases. One of the biggest challenges for prosecutors is proving criminal intent. To win a conviction, they need to show beyond a reasonable doubt that a specific individual high up in the company knowingly acted with criminal intent. At a firm as vast and decentralized as BlackRock, that would be exceedingly difficult. Decisions aren't made by one person in a corner office. They come from committees, algorithms, and risk models that spread accountability across layers of bureaucracy. On top of that, BlackRock can always point back to its fiduciary duty as a defense. Almost any debatable choice, whether it's a vote on a shareholder proposal or an investment in a disputed company, can be explained as serving the financial interest of clients. That explanation is not just reasonable, it's legally powerful. For prosecutors, proving that this reasoning is just a cover for something criminal has so far been a burden too heavy to meet. Then there's the defensive passivity. A huge portion of BlackRock's assets are in passive index funds. If you haven't seen my video on index funds, I'll link that at the end. These funds simply mirror an index like the S&P 500. This passivity is a brilliant legal defense. How can you be accused of market manipulation or anti-competitive behavior when your entire strategy is not to make choices? If a company is in the index, BlackRock has to own it. This argument neutralizes a whole category of potential antitrust and market manipulation charges before they can even be formulated. You're seeing in this video how difficult it is to hold the biggest institutions accountable. But that same imbalance of power isn't limited to Wall Street. It shows up in healthcare, in insurance, and in red tape. That's why I wrote my book, How to Beat the System. I take what I learned at the DOJ and give you a practical step-by-step playbook for pushing back. If you'd like to support this channel and take back some power in your own life, scan the QR code on screen or check out the link in the description. Segment 3, Symbiosis, the Master Key. This is where we enter the most controversial yet perfectly legal aspect of BlackRock's immunity, its influence. Former BlackRock executives and lawyers routinely take senior positions at the Treasury Department, the SEC, and the Federal Reserve. Conversely, high-level government officials often find a lucrative home at BlackRock after their public service. BlackRock itself has often had a hand in shaping the rules. This symbiotic relationship gives the government the expertise it lacks, and BlackRock gains an intimate understanding of the regulatory and prosecutorial mindset, allowing it to navigate and even design the legal landscape. The ultimate result of this immunity is channeling the conflict away from the criminal courts and into the civil arena. You will almost never see the Department of Justice bring a criminal case against BlackRock. What you will see are civil actions from regulators like the SEC, and these almost always end with a settlement, a fine, or a consent decree. And for a firm of BlackRock's size, these fines are simply a cost of doing business. Segment 4, Final Thoughts. So, is BlackRock really immune from prosecution? The evidence suggests that within our current legal and financial framework, the answer is, as the Mythbusters like to say, plausible. This immunity is built on a synergistic combination of its fiduciary identity, its global size, favorable legal precedents, the high bar of criminal intent, and its influence within the system. To be clear, this isn't a story about a large corporation evading justice. It's a case study in how modern finance and law can create entities that exist beyond the reach of traditional accountability. When a company becomes so vast, so complex, and so essential to the global system, have we, in effect, designed a system where it can no longer be held criminally liable? So, what do you think? Does BlackRock's legal immunity pose a systemic risk, or is it the natural result of a complex global economy? Comment below and please share this video. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful and informative, please hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay honest, and come back for more Antitrust Insider.